Howdy guys, just doing a little clip for you folk out there that are into the MK Triton range. This is my third MK glxr. I've had two V6 manuals previously. This one's an automatic. Bought this one for my young daughter and she had nothing, wanted to buy another car, and I told her I'd hold on to this and buy something else, so I decided I'd do a ls conversion on it. I had a look around, there wasn't a whole lot of info. Over in England they do a lot of these, they're called an L200 over there, and they put a lot of the Toyota V8s in over there, but over here there's not a whole lot. There was a couple of guys had a turbo LS into a 2x2, just a standard sort of dual cab thing, but I'm not sure that would be engineered. It possibly is, but I'm not sure. I wanted to do mine as a engineered vehicle. However, by car I have removed the front diff and all the transfer case 4x4, so I've turned mine into a 4x2. The reasons for that were, one, it was going to be easy to put the running gear in, just having a motor and gearbox hooked up to a rear diff. Everything cleared the front diff. Biggest concern was going to be getting a transfer case made. Probably could have hunted one down, someone to make one, but it was going to be a little bit of effort. For me, I've got an MQ as well, which is a pretty new modern thing, and that's got four-wheel drive if I need a four-wheel drive. I don't really need full drive, never put it in full drive, so I was happy to remove everything and just turned it into a two drive, made it much easier. So I'll just take you through what we've done here. We're sort of at the rear end of the conversion now. It's probably, I've been working on it for maybe 6 months on and off. First I just removed the motor and box, tail shaft, ripped all that front diff out, got rid of all the four-wheel drive, etc. I put the motor and box in, sort of just, we set that in there. It's 6 litre out of a VE Bolino. It was a Walkinshaw enhanced, so it might have a small cam or something in it, but nothing too dramatic. It's just 6L80E transmission in there, which is a Tiptronic. So I've decided to go and put this all in. It's pretty much, as it came out of the car, it fits into this Triton. Now I end up buying a pair of Sigma engine mounts because the mount on the V6 Triton, the rubber mount, and the mount on the Sigma are the same, and the way the bolts to the chassis is the same bracket. In saying that, I did have to modify my engine mounts to move the engine forward. When I bolted them on, it wouldn't allow it to sit in there. It was against the firewall, so we had to move them forward. So it's probably best to buy a universal set. The boys up at Tough Mounts, they supplied me these ones, and they're quite a good unit. As much as we had to modify these, they are designed for a Sigma and not a Triton. But those fellas up there can help you with all your engine mount kits, etc. So yeah, we put that in. The transmission mount was quite easy. We just got a piece of tube because it's set up a lot higher than the factory cross member, and I just made the actual cross member mount up out of some square tube. I think it was about 75 by 40 from memory tube. And just mounted that on there, cut the ends to sort of an angle. It looks pretty good. I'll go in the camera so I can show you that. We've used an S15 radiator once again. The boys up at Tough Mounts built a Sigma, and I actually bought that Sigma, and they put an LS in that, and they'd use an S15, so the radiator is going to be thick enough to keep the car cool. In this instant I've used just some plastic elbows, etc., to get the airflow meter and pot over here. This does have to be boxed in. Mounted my ECU over here where the airbox used to be mounted, but other than that, it actually went in quite easy. There was no major issues. Got myself a 90-degree thermostat housing so I could mount all that up. 112 inch thermo fan. I did put a trans cooler on it. Initially I had a different radiator and I put my fans on this side. I took the condenser and everything out, put the fans this side, but then I was going to have to modify. It was going to be a lot harder, so when I worked out that radiator was thin enough it's going to work, it all panned out. I could put it all back to factory because we do want to put the aircon on as well. I've put the trans cooler in there to keep that exchanger quite cool. You can see the heater lines are hooked up over there. Fuel lines are pretty straightforward. They just run under here, just from the rail down to the tank. And under the car there is a fuel filter where it has the return line and the inlet line going to it, so it returns the fuel to the other side. As for the extractors, if you haven't got a little bit of know-how, I made these extractors myself. They're not the world's best set. I made these in my driveway on a windy day, so that the gas was actually getting blown around out of the actual gun. But that's needless to say, they'll work fine, they'll do the job. They're collected at the bottom. We ran a couple of Euro 4 cats to keep it under regs for the exhaust noise and the emissions. And as for the exhaust, we've made up around this side and show the rear, we just made up a 2.5 inch wire piece basically, going into a single 2.5 out the back there. And we've just used a 14 long by 4 inch round Magnaflow there, and just at the front there is getting a bit dark. It's a 16 long by, I think it was 8 by 5 offset barrel. Once again a Magnaflow. It's all flanged, etc., so it unbolts easy. As for the tail shaft, David down at Melbourne Drive Shaft's done that for us. We just took it down there. He got rid of the donut off the actual tail shaft. You can't see probably there. Might just turn a light on, see if we've got a light. Oh, yeah, I can't get that light working. I fix cars, not cameras, but on the back of that tail shaft, it's a great little device he's put on there. So he made the tail shaft for us, which has panned out pretty good. So I've just finished the cooling system, and that's holding pressure as it should, and it's doing everything it should do. Power steering line from the pump. So as I said, we've got the original pump, the original alternator is all still in its original place. We haven't had to move anything. The only thing I had to move was the aircon pump on the right side of the engine because it fouled the steering box. Now, I do have an intention of trying to find an aftermarket bracket that'll get that really close to the engine so I can put it back down there and plug it all back in. Running a Commodore pump maybe. But it was a pretty straightforward conversion. It's taken a few months just on and off, mucking around with it. But once you do it, it's pretty easy, and I'm sure this thing will go a lot better. I'll get better fuel economy. That's what I was saying. As for the power steering down there, the high pressure hose, we got Nigel from Auto Hoses Australia. He's located down in Research in Melbourne. He came down and done that on site, and a few $100, and that was all done. The low pressure one's quite easy to hook up, so we fill it with synthetic power steering fluid. Putting synthetic steering fluid in is much better than trans fluid, as much as trans fluid will work, and it has done for many years. You'll just find it'll be smoother and quieter with that synthetic fuel in it. Fluid in it. But yeah, so we're at the point now. We're just going to wait for the electrician. We've got a gentleman I haven't used before, but he's a friend of someone else that I know, and being a Triton, it's really sort of, we've got to, because it hasn't really been done and no one has real knowledge on where to hook up to and stuff like that. I'm sure there's plenty of electricians that could do it, but we want to try to just get this working as it should, so we want everything to work properly, ABS, airbags, etc. So he's making the loom for it, the harness from the computer. Hopefully a few weeks he'll be able to get this thing going, and see how it goes. As for brakes and diff, etc., we had the engineer out. He said they're fine. This particular Triton runs a 4:9 ratio, so I'm not sure how that's going to go with the 6-speed. Hopefully it goes alright, but we'll find out. If it's not, we'll just get the technical diff guy and get them to modify the gears to get it run right. But he did say the diff size is fine. We didn't have to modify the diff. And as for the brakes in this car will be fine. They won't have to be modified either. So this should be ready to go in a few weeks, and maybe, as I said, once again, it's an MK glxr. It's a pretty cool, tidy little car. I'm not sure that there's another that has been done and engineered, but I might be wrong. Once again, I'm sure I'm not the first person to put an LS into a Triton. I think someone done it in maybe an MN or an ML, but I'm not sure it's been done and engineered in MK. But if you have done an LS2 in OMK. I'd love to see the pics. Thanks guys, bye.